What is up, YouTube? It is Docky or Docky Style Gaming, and I am back at it with another GodFall video for you all today. Now, thanks to yesterday's Gamescom interview with IGN and the game director, Keith Lee, we got quite a bit of brand new information when it comes to GodFall. Starting with the new Constellation Augment style skill tree, got a bunch of information on crafting our Valorplates, the different types of Valorplates. We went a bit more into Archon mode, a bit of co-op information, and so much more, but I will be getting into that in a whole separate video. This video is really mainly focusing on the 3 brand new Valorplates we got to see in that trailer, but also all of the Valorplates that we know so far. Now, for those of you who don't know, there are 12 different Valorplates in the game, and as of right now, we at least know the names and types and some abilities for most of them, but 9 of them so far have names that are confirmed, and the last 3 I'll get into a bit in the video. We kind of have almost all 12, but of the 9 that we know of, that's what I'm really going to be breaking down in this video for the most part. So without wasting any more of your time, let's hop straight into the new ones that were shown off, and then we'll talk a bit about some of the older ones that I have covered in other videos on the channel as well. Now, the first of the 3 new ones that we found out about is Typhon. Now, in Greek mythology, Typhon is a giant monstrous serpentine type of giant, and honestly one of the deadliest creatures in Greek mythology, so I thought maybe he would be more of a snake type of Valorplate, but thanks to, I believe it was Temple on Reddit, he kind of pointed it out on his shoulder. Even though I did see this coil type design, it definitely looks to be more of a seahorse inspired Valorplate. Now, with a name like Typhon, I think it's also pretty similar to see the similarities to Typhoon, so I think it makes sense that it's more of an aquatic themed Valorplate, or at least in colors. And speaking of colors, design wise, as you see, he has a bunch of teal and gold with glowing white aura around most of his Valorplate, and similar to most Valorplates that we'll see in this video, they all have their corresponding animal constellation or zodiac symbol that represents them on their shoulder. Now again, I did think it might be a snake or serpentine type of creature, but after being pointed out on Reddit, you do kind of see the snout, and I do believe that it probably is meant to represent a seahorse. Now, when it comes to abilities, sadly, of the 3 new Valorplates that was shown, we really didn't get to see a lot of his particular unique ability. We did get to see him have this glowing aura around himself during a couple of scenes, and potentially it could be a buff of some kind, but as far as that, we really didn't get to see a lot of Typhon's abilities in action. He still looks pretty great, I'm not gonna lie. Like, of the designs, it's actually probably one of my favorite Valorplates we've seen so far, right next to Interclaw. But let me know what y'all think of a seahorse Valorplate. If that's in fact what it is, I think it's a very interesting animal or pick to go with, but design wise it looks amazing in my opinion. Now, the next of the new Valorplates that we got to look at was Mesa. Now, Mesa is a white and gray with like blue and gold trimmed ram Valorplate. I think it's pretty safe to say that it is based off a ram, and again, looking at its shoulder, you can see that it is in fact a ram Valorplate. Now, when it comes to abilities, we didn't see a lot shown off. We did get to see one in action, but they did go into a bit more details about her abilities later on in that video. So what they did say is that Mesa will be a poison focused Valorplate. Now, when talking about her Archon mode, they said that it is poison focused that does damage over time, and on enemy kill, the poison can spread to nearby enemies. Now, one of the few abilities that we do get to see from Mesa, she pops down these like 3 spires that shoot out a beam towards an enemy. Now, who knows what it's actually doing? It could be a debuff, because it doesn't seem to slow it down, so I'm assuming it might be some form of a poison debuff, but that's just speculation as of right now. But personally, for a ram Valorplate, there better be a charging headbutt type of ability for this Valorplate. I think Mesa needs it. If you have a ram, you have to have a charging move or a headbutt at the least. But the ram design does look pretty dope, I'm not gonna lie. Pretty surprised to see that it would be a ram. Seems like there's a lot of horn-based Valorplates, as we'll see later on in this video, but I do really dig the design of Mesa as well. Now, the last of the new Valorplates that we're seeing, we go to Vertigo. Now, Vertigo is a green and blue with like brown trimmed moth Valorplate, which is a very interesting take on a Valorplate. It definitely looks the most unique in my opinion of all the Valorplates, just because of the detail on it, and even the color scheme on it looks really nice. It almost has this real pearlescent type of shine on the armor, but I do really like the design of Vertigo as well. Now, when it comes to Vertigo, again, we didn't get to really really see a lot of her abilities. There was one we got to see in action, and then most of it also came from them describing Vertigo. Now in the interview and talking about Vertigo, they did say Vertigo would be a shock-based Valorplate, and one of the abilities kind of showcases that, where we get to see her with a electric aura around her entire body for the most part. And then again, similar to Mesa with her Archon mode, they said that it would be focused on shock. And I swear if I don't see a Martha reference in my comment section, I'm disappointed in every single one of y'all. Now moving on to the next two Valorplates that were mentioned but not shown were Sirius and Armistice. Now Sirius is kind of represented, at least when it comes to Constellation, as generally a dog or a hound like being. Now I don't know if the Valorplate will reflect that, but that's generally what Sirius kind of represents. Now when talking about it in the interview when they were talking about team composition, Keith Lee did go on to mention that Sirius would be the tank role type of Valorplate in the game. So kind of make of that as what you may. Now when they mentioned Armistice, though again we didn't see that Valorplate's design similar to Sirius, they did say that Armistice would be a crowd control and DPS Valorplate. And though generally the meaning of that word kind of represents surrender, with the DPS and crowd control Valorplate, I don't think Armistice will be surrendering anytime soon, more like bring in war. So I don't know if it's a play on the word, but I thought that was pretty interesting to take note of as well. So those are the 5 new Valorplates in that video alone that was pretty much talked about and we got to see as well. Now these next ones are ones we've already seen, but because I'm already doing damn near every single one of them, I might as well put all of them in one video. So the next one we're going to move over to is Hinterclaw. Now Hinterclaw was the latest Valorplate to be shown off, and we got a lot of detail on that one as well. Now Hinterclaw is a wolf type Valorplate and is said to be a high crit strike and high crit chance Valorplate that is very offensive. Now when talking about Hinterclaw's abilities, they did say his passive increases crit chance by 10%, and then when talking about the Archon mode, because I've mentioned this in a video, Archon mode buffs your passives. When in Archon mode, it increases his passive to 30% and crit damage is increased by 20% for each enemy killed. That also stacks up to 200%, which is pretty damn high when it comes to crit damage. But outside of just the passive buff, his Archon mode also summons 3 allies to fight alongside you, which is pretty dope. And yes, they did say you could have a full team of Hinterclaws and also spawn 3 out with each player on the team. So if you want to run a stacked lobby full of Hinterclaws with a bunch of clones, you can definitely do that. Now personally, before I saw Typhon, Hinterclaw was my #1 Valorplate that I had up there, mainly because I really want a purple, black, and gold color combination for Hinterclaw, because I need, with a passion, a Korag the Night Wolf look for my Hinterclaw. And if you know what I'm talking about when I say Korag the Night Wolf, we could be friends. Now moving on to the next 3 are the ones that we've pretty much seen in just about every trailer: Silvermane, Phoenix, and Greyhawk. So first let's start with the poster boy himself, Silvermane. Clearly he is represented as the Leo constellation and has a gunmetal and gold Valorplate type design with, well, a large silver mane on the back of his helmet. Now abilities that we've got to see with Silvermane in a couple of trailers that have been out, and I say a couple, almost every trailer that's been out, we got to see this one AoE roar that does stun nearby enemies, what it seems, letting you go in to get an attack. Now when we see his Archon mode, we do get to see him summon multiple spinning blades that circle him and attack while you attack as well. I'm gonna try and keep these fast because we pretty much seen most of the 3 and I've covered them in multiple videos as well. Now Phoenix is a amber and gold Phoenix Valorplate, and although being one of the main 3 Valorplates, we really haven't seen much of her abilities and probably has the least info on of all the 3 big dogs, I should say, that we see in almost every trailer. Now when it comes to her abilities, again, since we really don't got too much info to go on, all we've really seen is this glowing red aura around herself. Now again, I would assume it's a buff, but that's pure speculation. It could be a damage buff, it could be a defense buff, it could be a healing buff, who knows? I'm just kind of speculating that that's what that glowing red aura is. But I do think that it is safe to assume that, like the other Valorplates that we could see, like Mesa and Vertigo, that have both shock and poison abilities, I think it's fair to assume that Phoenix will have fire type of elemental abilities as well. Now moving on to Valorplate number 9 is Greyhawk. Now Greyhawk is surprisingly consisting of mainly white rather than gray armor sets with gold trim and blue accents around it as well, and again clearly essentially a hawk on his shoulder. Now, abilities, though never officially revealed, we did get to see his Archon mode very briefly in a couple of older trailers. And then also, I believe we kind of saw an air dash at one point too. Now, it could have been a part of the shield ability, but for a bird like Valorplate, I would assume it belongs to him, but don't take my word on that. But when it comes to his Archon ability, what we got to see briefly, Greyhawk had these blades that he was kind of whipping around like a whip for the most part. Now, it was a very quick scene in an older trailer, but slowing it down, you can in fact see that that is a part of his Archon mode. He kind of starts by hovering up into the sky, shoots out this massive shockwave on the ground, kind of knocks back enemies, and then in the next scene we see him, similar to Silvermane, have these like ethereal swords that he can kind of whip around as well. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the big three. Now let's move on to the last three Valorplates that we don't know about. So far in this video we've covered 9 of the 12 Valorplates, but there's still 3 more to go over. Now in a couple of trailers for sure we have seen one. One is a bull Valorplate, or maybe a Taurus, it depends on what they're going to call it, but definitely a bull-like Valorplate that we've seen in multiple trailers. We've seen it in action, and then in one of the, I think it was the PlayStation State of Play trailer, we got to see it in the 7th Sanctum in the armor of Valorplates, and you can definitely see it in its full detail. It is clearly a bull Valorplate, but I thought it was pretty dope and should definitely point that out. Now there's another Valorplate that was seen in that haul as well, which was a Rhino based Valorplate. Again, these are kind of speculations, but again, looking at the pictures, I think it's safe to assume what animals they're meant to represent. But another one we saw was a Rhino-like Valorplate, so that's 2 of them. Now the third one is kind of a mystery because you only get to see it at the very end of the haul, but it has these huge antler-like horns on his head, so part of me kind of assumes that it's either meant to be a deer or potentially a stag type of Valorplate, but those are the last 3 that we don't have names on, or really anything outside of seeing them in their Hall of Armor. But I wanted to point those out because technically I think it's safe to assume that we have seen officially every single Valorplate. Now, we definitely are missing a lot of details in between, like abilities for every single one of them, how each of them are actually going to fully play in a look, but for the most part I think it's safe to say that we've seen them all. And then now hopefully that we have, they'll start popping out a couple more trailers, potentially showing us some more abilities for each personal Valorplate. I think that would be cool and would really go a long way to get people a bit more hyped about the game. But as it stands, so far it looks like we have a seahorse, a ram, a moth, a hound or dog like Valorplates. Armistice, have no idea what that could even be. Hinterclaw, who is the wolf, a bull, a rhino, we have a lion, a hawk, and a flaming bird, aka a phoenix, and potentially a deer or stag like Valorplate. So let me know in the comment section how you personally feel about each of those Valorplates designs and choices in terms of their animal, constellation, zodiac, whatever they're kind of using to represent them, and which ones you probably prefer if yours isn't up there. Now, I've made multiple videos. I think for sure in a melee based game, I think a bear, a dragon, and potentially a snake Valorplate would be pretty damn dope, but let me know in the comment section what y'all's would personally be. But that's all I really got for this video, so thank you all for watching. Like always, sorry I've been super late with these videos, been dealing with a bunch of real world stuff, and then hurricanes don't help either, so I've been a bit late, but I should be having a stream tomorrow and definitely a lot more GodFall videos planned because I just barely scratched the surface of what was all even talked about in the most recent trailer. So I have multiple videos going over all the different stuff that was covered in the IGN interview, and then also I just got a bunch of other games getting ready to come out on the channel. Avengers is getting ready to come out, so definitely stay tuned on the channel because I have a bunch of content for that as well. So again, thank you all for watching. I will catch you all in the next one. The links to all my social media accounts are in the video description. Be sure to leave a like if you liked, leave a dislike if you didn't like it. I will catch you all on the next one. Thanks for the love, thanks for the subs, peace.